Morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone had a nice Monday. It was awesome seeing some of you guys on Mrs. Reynolds' Zoom meetings. That was pretty cool. I know she's going to try to set up another one either the end of this week or next week during spring break. And so hopefully those of you that I didn't see yesterday, maybe I'll be able to see either later this week or the start of next week. So for today, we will read real quick another chapter, and then we'll talk about what we're going to be doing for Tuesday, and it's going to be kind of the same as last week Tuesday. So chapter 3 doesn't have any date times or anything like that, so we'll just get started reading. Tony's face lit up as they took off running. Carmen knew he loved the taste of thick, sticky syrup, and he wasn't the only one. Kids from the neighborhood visited the tank all the time. The tank leaked. Molasses was always dripping down the sides like ice cream melting down a cone. Kids would scoop up the molasses into their mouths with their fingers or turn sticks into molasses lollipops. Who needed to waste a penny at the candy store when you could get a taste of molasses for free? I thought you hated molasses, Tony said as they trotted along. Carmen shrugged. Maybe I'll take some to Rosie. Rosie was a horse, an old mare who lived at the stable where Papa worked. Carmen liked to take her out for rides after school. They'd go to the park by the harbor. Rosie would nibble on the grass, and Carmen would write letters to Nona. Her grandmother loved hearing about all the people in the North End, but Tony was her favorite. She called him Trotolino, wild boy in Italian. But today, Rosie and Nona's letter would have to wait. It only took a few minutes to get to the tank, which rose up over them like mountains in Carmen's village back in Italy. Except the tree-covered mountains were beautiful. The tank was hideous, brown-painted, steel-covered with syrupy slime. Tony slammed his hand into the sticky tank. I win, he said gleefully. Carmen grinned at her friend. She'd finally cheered him up. Nona's voice echoed in her mind. Ben fatto. Good job. Wow, Tony said, pulling his hand away from the tank. His fingers dripped with syrup. It's leaking like crazy. Tony was right about that. The tank always leaked a little bit, but today the goo was bleeding through the lines where the sheets of metal came together. Thick streams of molasses ran down the sides. Tony stuck his finger into his mouth and closed his eyes. Mmm, he said. Tastes like Cracker Jacks. Carmen dipped a finger into the syrup and then took a cat-like lick. Ugh! The molasses tasted sweet, but with a bitter black licorice aftertaste. She shook her head and made a face. Tony laughed. Then he smeared some molasses above his top lip, making a sticky brown mustache. Hello, he said, lowering his voice. I'm Mr. Lawrence. Recess is now against the law. They both had a good laugh. Let's find some sticks, Tony said. He started walking around the tank, scanning the ground. Carmen didn't need a stick. She'd had enough molasses, thanks. Plus, being this close to the tank gave her a queasy feeling. She tried not to look at the dead flies stuck in the goopy puddles in the ground. She wrinkled her nose as she breathed in the sickly sweet smell. Blech was right. She stared at the tank, wondering why it leaked so much. Whoever built it did a bad job. And why did the molasses company have to put on such a big tank right here? It blocked out the sun and ruined the views of the harbor. And Carmen hated to think about what all the molasses was used for. She'd heard Papa and his boss, Mr. Vita, talking about at the stable a few years ago. They were in the back office playing cards. Carmen was brushing Rosie. They say it can hold more than 2 million gallons of molasses, Mr. Vita said. 2 million gallons? That sounded like enough to fill a big pond. Papa whistled. What did they do with it all? Carmen had been wondering the same thing. She knew some famous American foods had molasses in them, like baked beans and gingerbread. But 2 million gallons? That was a lot of gingerbread. It's used for bombs, Mr. Vita said. Bombs? Papa said with surprise. Carmen nearly dropped Rosie's brush. Was Mr. Vita joking? No. He explained that molasses went to a factory where it was boiled down into something called industrial alcohol. Then it was used to make dynamite and bombs. Strange, Carmen had thought. But when Rosie had snorted, impatient to get out for a walk, Carmen put the tank out of her mind. Back then, the molasses tank was just one of the many strange things about America. Carmen had only just figured out that the Red Sox weren't something you wore on your feet. And why did so many English words have sneaky letters that made no sounds? The bombs didn't mean much to Carmen either back then. The Great War had just started, and America hadn't yet joined the fight against Germany. But now, 3 years later, tens of thousands of American soldiers had been killed in brutal battles. She knew this war was bloodier than ever before. There were new kinds of weapons, like machine guns that fired hundreds of bullets a minute, and poisonous gas that burned soldiers' skin and lungs. Carmen stepped back and stared at the ugly tank as if she were seeing it for the first time. She pictured Mr. Lawrence limping through the classroom. Suddenly, this molasses didn't seem like any fun at all. She looked at Tony, whose face was covered with goo. She couldn't help smiling a little. "Hey," she said, "you done yet?" "Just one more lick," Tony started, but he was cut off by a sound. A low, gurgling growl. That's the end of the chapter. Kind of a short one today. Alright, so the plan for today is get started on ExactPath for 15 minutes. There's been a lot of you guys that haven't been on ExactPath yet, so please make sure that you're doing that. The school, Mrs. Jamerson and Mrs. Stitt are both looking at people that are doing that too, so please make sure that you guys are getting your ExactPath minutes. It is good practice. I know it's not the most fun thing, but it's only just 10 or 15 minutes, so you should be able to do it for that long. Okay, next, independent read for 20-25 minutes. So that's your independent reading book, or you can go on RazKids or Tumble Books or any of the websites that we've been using so far. And then you're going to do a quick write today. And so today's quick write topic, and I'll type this out so you can see it as well, but today's quick write topic is tell me about a time that you were scared, and what you were scared of, and kind of how you reacted and kind of how you resolved your fear. Or maybe you haven't resolved your fear, and that's okay too. So tell me about a time you were scared. If you want to tell me about more than one time, that's totally cool. Tell me about as many as you want, but make sure that you are writing for the whole 10 minutes. So you'll be doing this in Google Classroom or on line paper. It's up to you if you'd rather write it, if you'd rather type it. It's totally up to you. You're going to set a timer for 5 minutes. So if you don't know how to find a timer, you can just Google a timer and it'll let you know. And then, so you're going to write for your first 5 minutes. You're going to stop. You're going to count up your words, take about a minute break, and then you're going to write your second 5 minutes. And remember, your second 5 minutes, you want to beat your first 5 minutes. So total of 10 minutes, just like a normal quick write like we do in class. The only difference is you're going to keep track of your own time, and you can type it or write it. It's up to you. Okay, and then after that, you guys read the article yesterday about the Boston Tea Party in ReadWorks that was on Google Classroom, or hopefully you didn't answer the questions. I want you to go from there, and just like we did last week, I want you to pick 5 words that you did not either know, or that were maybe more difficult words, or that were words that kind of went along with your topic that maybe a lot of people wouldn't know. And I want you to write the word and write their definition. And this I want you to do in Google Classroom. So on today's link, which will be March 31st, please just create a doc and then write the 5 words and then look up their definitions. And a lot of you guys did a really, really nice job with this last week. So it should be easy because you're already on a computer, so you can easily look up the definitions for those. So just give me your 5 words and then your 5 definitions, and that'll be it today. So again, ExactPath, independent reading, quick write for 10 minutes, and then choosing your 5 words from yesterday's article. And I'll link the article again under today so you don't have to flip back to different assignments. Okay, that is it for me. So I will see you guys in a video tomorrow. Have an awesome Tuesday, and hope you're all doing well. All right, bye guys.